Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm gonna talk about a very important issue, which is gonna be classroom management. Some teachers or many teachers suffer of how to adapt their classroom. Classroom management refers to a wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to ensure that their classroom runs smoothly without disruptive behavior from students. There are many strategies and techniques that could be used by primary teachers so as to control their students or their classes. How to deal with noisy students. Sometimes the volume in class is getting unacceptable and you are afraid that other teachers and even the administration might hear that your class is out of control or think that you're a bad teacher. That's one of the great fears that most of the teachers have. So let's share some ideas of how to make a noisy class silent and how to let young learners pay attention. Let me talk about some techniques that should be followed by teachers so as to make the noisy classroom silent, to let them settle down. So the first technique is never shout. Never shout technique. Never shout technique means if the students are making noise and you ask them to settle down, do so in a loud voice, but don't shout. Do it in a loud voice, but don't shout. There is, for example, it differs from the one that shouts and the one that speaks loudly. There is a great difference between these two. So you can even use names or their names. So for example, let me show you some examples. For example, if you are in the class and some students are uh, messing around and so on, so you can call them by their names. Muhammad, be quiet, but don't say Muhammad. Muhammad, be quiet. Mona, settle down. Do it loudly, but don't shout. Why do you have to do it loudly but not shouting? Because easily they may think of the way that you shout as fun and laugh at you. And it may even shows that you have lost control over the class and you will completely lose everything. That is why usually teachers are asked not to shout, but they can speak loudly and even not very loudly. The second technique is silent treatment. Silent treatment. The silent technique might be good or bad. That depends on how you do it. So means this technique depends on the teacher's way of using it. So if you go to the front of the class and stand with a smile and shoulders back, waiting them to quiet down, they will look up at you and say, oh, the teacher's gonna say something. Let's listen. Then they will spontaneously keep silent. But the mistake that some teachers make is that they try to get students quiet. But if they don't, teachers get upset and very angry and they go and sit down and they go and sit down at their seat and show angry face with hands on chest like this and say, I'm going to sit down until you are quiet. You're not wasting my time, but yours. I'm not gonna teach you. So this is wrong way for the teachers to do so. Even if the student don't settle down, even if they are very noisy, so don't get very angry and go and sit at the seat and say, so I'm not going to teach you until you settle down. This is not my problem. Number 3, call and response technique. Do you use call and response technique in your classroom? So there is something like a teacher standing in front of the classroom calling out a phrase, and hearing the students share the response. If students are engaged in an activity, they focus on it. So when they're busy talking and laughing, you need a pattern reality. You need a pattern reality to stop them, and most teachers use a call and response technique. Basically, the teacher calls out something and the students have to say something back in response. This should be trained by the teacher from the first day class and keep practicing it. Here are some well-known call and response techniques. For example, the teacher say, uh, flat tire, flat tire, and the students will respond, shh, flat tire. Shh means when the tire of the car or whatever so is flat, then of course it has some noise. So it's like shh. So they will say, when you say flat tire, shh, and so on. Another one is macaroni and cheese. Then the students will respond, everybody freeze. Macaroni and cheese, everybody freeze. Macaroni and cheese, everybody freeze. Like this. And for example, another one, teacher also might say hocus pocus, and the students will say everybody focus. Hocus pocus, everybody focus. Hocus pocus, everybody focus. And then also you might say banana split, and the students will respond, I know how to sit. Banana split, I know how to sit. Banana split, I know how to sit. So on. The other one is gossip. Also, this is one of the techniques. Mean that to start talking to a small group, telling them a story or any piece of information secretly. For example, when you come to the class and you find that the class is very noisy, and you, for example, you stand in front of the board and they don't care and they still making what they are doing, so you can go to a small group of the students and just pretend that you are talking to them secretly. So the other might note that, say, hey, listen, look at the teacher, let's listen, what is he talking about, and so on. Why? Because rest of the students will get curious and be quiet to listen. As you know, curiosity for everybody. Number 5, exercise. This is also one of the techniques. If there is too much energy in the group, you can get them to exercise. For example, do yoga or jumping or any stretching activity. Means just let them practice some exercises so as they settle down after that. And then say, okay, after you finish the practicing the exercises, so say, okay, everybody, let's sit down and start our lesson. 6, write something on the board as punishment. This is one of the techniques and strategies. Write something on the board as what? A punishment. So if also you think that the students are very noisy, so just keep writing something on the board and they're going to read what you write on the board. So for example, like you write like everybody who is noisy will get detention from the break, or detention means will not be allowed to go to break. And as you know, students don't like being uh, avoided from going to the break. So that is why this way most of the students will be afraid and get quiet. Remember that you will get their attention in a very positive way, even if you use a fun or non-confrontational manner. So anyway, anyhow, you should have to be it positively. Don't try to punish them negatively. Don't use negative punishment. If the punishment is positive, is usually positive, you will earn their trust and improve the general discipline in the class. These quieting techniques should be applied from the first day class and be repeated the entire week until they are 100% ingrained in your students. That is all about today for classroom management. I hope you get the beneficial of what I have done, and just please try to follow me and make the subscription and like on my channel on YouTube.